Hello and welcome back to the next part in our series on the secret of the Rosary. This is the second rose, the origin of the Rosary. Since the Holy Rosary is composed essentially and substantially of the prayer of Christ and the angelic salutation, i.e., the Our Father and the Hail Mary, and of meditation on the mysteries of Jesus and Mary, it is without doubt the first prayer and the principal devotion of the faithful. It has been used throughout the centuries, from the time of the apostles and the disciples down to the present. But not until the year 1214 did the Church receive the Holy Rosary in the form and with the method according to which we pray it today. It was given to the Church by St. Dominic, who had received it from the Blessed Virgin as a means of converting the Albigensian heretics and sinners. The account of St. Dominic receiving the Rosary is found in the book by Blessed Alan de la Roche. Seeing that the gravity of the people's sins was hindering the conversion of the Albigensians, St. Dominic withdrew to a forest near Toulouse. There he prayed unceasingly for 3 days and 3 nights, weeping and performing harsh penances in order to appease God's anger. Throughout this time he flogged himself so much that his body was lacerated, and ultimately he fell into a coma. At this point the Blessed Virgin appeared to him, accompanied by 3 angels of heaven, and she said, "My dear Dominic, do you know which weapon the Blessed Trinity has used to reform the world?" "My lady," replied St. Dominic, "you know better than I, because next to your Son, Jesus Christ, you were the chief instrument of our salvation." Our Lady added, "I want you to know that the principal means has been the angelic Psalter, which is the foundation of the New Testament. That is why, if you want to win these hardened hearts for God, preach my Psalter." The saint arose comforted, filled with zeal for the conversion of the Albigensians. He went straight to the cathedral church. Immediately, unseen angels rang bells to call to the church the inhabitants of Toulouse, and St. Dominic began to preach. At the end of his sermon, a frightful storm broke out. The earth shook, the sun became dim, and the thunder and lightning rendered his listeners pale and trembling. Their fright intensified, and when they glanced at an image of the Blessed Virgin exposed in a prominent place, and saw her raise her arms to heaven 3 times to call down God's vengeance upon the people of Toulouse if they failed to be converted and seek the protection of the Holy Mother of God. By means of these extraordinary happenings, God wanted to spread the new devotion of the Holy Rosary and make it more widely known. At last the storm came to an end in response to St. Dominic's prayers. He went on with his sermon and explained the value of the Holy Rosary so fervently and effectively that almost all the people of Toulouse embraced it and renounced their wrong beliefs. In a very short time, a great change was seen in the city. People renounced their bad habits and began living truly Christian lives. So this is the origin of the Holy Rosary, and it's quite a story. Now, Marian apparitions and other miraculous events are considered private revelation by the Church, by the Catholic Church, and so they're not binding on the faithful in any way. So these are reported events, sometimes very widely reported, but no one is required to believe that these things happened or any of the messages that may be passed through them, even if the Church officially approves of them. In the case of this apparition that we hear about in the book by de Montfort, the Church does actually accept this apparition to be genuine. The Church is very thorough in its investigations when it comes to these things. There's a lot of claims to this sort of thing. When the Church does investigate, as I say, it is thorough and very often, the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time, I would say, the conclusion is that this is a false claim. It's not in the Church's interest at all to approve of something that turns out to be proven false later. So I think what is really important here in this teaching of the origin of the Rosary is the effect it had, the fruit it had as a spiritual weapon against sin and heresy, which it continues to this day. Can you imagine the street preachers of today or the evangelists today managing to convert an entire city in one day? Well, this is what the Rosary did in its very early stages, and throughout the world now, as millions of faithful Catholics say the Rosary, they firmly believe that this is the most powerful spiritual weapon that we have in the world, coming directly from God. So that is where I think we'll leave it for today, and we'll continue with our series within the next few days. God bless everyone.